Hey guys, so you may or may not have heard, and this is pretty old news by now, I suppose, but I thought I'd still make a video about it and talk a little bit about my experiences using Puppeteer. So you may not know about Puppeteer, but in essence, the Chrome development team has produced a project called Puppeteer that runs on the headless Chrome browser that they are now supporting officially, and they have for a little while. I highly recommend that you have a look at this. So in essence, what it allows you to do it allows you to either run in a headless browser if you need the performance, or with the actual Chrome browser. And the interface to switch between the two is very, very simple. Now, you may wonder why you would want to do this, and the reason is actually there's two main reasons I would say that you would want to do this. So the first and foremost thing is that if you wanted to do any type of web scraping, let's say that you have a website where you want to scrape some data, you need to make sure that you're allowed to, and you want to scrape that information and put it in, do something with that information. That's a fairly strong use case for it. I have a few ideas for some ideas for when you would want to do that, but the most common use case for this type of product or this type of system is for doing acceptance testing or automated interface testing. So if you have a web project, so I can give you an example. At Ticketmaster, they use Selenium, and Selenium is another web driver that does pretty much the same thing. And the thing is that when you have a really, really large application, you don't, and whenever you make a change to your application, you need to, in theory, you could have introduced a regression bug. So it's very useful for you to have a automated way to test that nothing broke. So let's say that and the Ticketmaster, the application is massive. I mean, we're talking about thousands of different combinations of configurations and requirements for different countries and all that stuff. And it would be impossible for us programmers and the QA team to test all of that manually every time we make a release. So you create an automated system like this. Now, what in essence happens is that you write code that walks through and interacts with the web page just as a user would, and then you do certain assertions depending on what you're going to check. So why am I excited about Puppeteer? Well, I'm excited about Puppeteer because it's a Node.js implementation for this interface. So it's really nice. Like, I used in the past, we've been using Phantom.js, and I'm gonna be honest, the interface for Phantom.js isn't that nice. I actually use a go-between, or like an API on top of that called Casper.js, which I thought was much nicer. And so that's just one thing, but the main thing is that since Selenium has so few contributors, the project, basically due to lack of maintainers, has been discontinued, and Phantom.js, which is the main go-to for this type of thing, and Karma and so forth, like those runners, like, uses Phantom.js. So that project has actually been discontinued in favor of Puppeteer, or the headless Chrome browser. So I strongly encourage you to take a look at a few tutorials on this topic, because the interface is really nice. The question that now begs my mind, or rather, which it's not a concern, but maybe a small concern, is that the Chrome team are obviously supporting their own browser. So if your need is to simply do some interface testing, then it's fine. But if your use case is that you need to test for multiple browsers, I don't think you should have to, but there are cases where you would like to run your acceptance test or whatever on multiple browsers. Then I don't really know what to tell you. Maybe you know something that I don't, but for the most part, you don't care if you're running your tests in Chrome or Safari or whatever. So this is a really nice, and it's actually sorely needed, considering that you know, the state of Phantom.js and that Selenium is being discontinued. So I highly, as I said, it's the project name is Puppeteer. Take a look at that. I'm pretty sure you will find it very useful.